Yo, what's up, guys? What a fantastic win tonight for the Toronto Raptors. Absolutely beating down the Chicago Bulls 139-109, guys. What a spectacular game this was for the Raptors, guys. A dominant four-quarter performance tonight by the Raptors. Third straight win after coming off the great wins against Phoenix and Detroit. Raptors played incredible tonight, guys, from start to finish. Absolutely a massive win for the Raptors, guys. With Miami and Orlando both losing last night, Raptors getting a win, of course, tonight cements themselves in the fifth spot again in the Eastern Conference. Absolutely massive for the Raptors, guys. To stay out of the play-in, of course, with Miami and Orlando both losing a couple games in a row, and the way the Atlanta Hawks are coming and the way the Charlotte Hornets are coming too, guys, they're really playing some great ball right now. Atlanta's won 11 in a row. The Raptors need to start accumulating some wins in a row, especially against some better opponents. And tonight against Chicago, not being a great team, of course, the Raptors got business done, and they got it done early. And that's what you want with the Raptors against these lower opponents, guys. We obviously know the Raptors have a great record against the below 500 teams this year. Raptors get their business done majority of the time against these teams. Obviously, against the Pelicans, that was a little bit of a blimp. But since that Pelicans game, the Raptors' mentality has clearly changed a little bit. They're playing with a little bit more aggression. They're playing with a lot more certainty. They just look like they are playing more as a team and for each other than what we've seen, obviously, when we had a little bit of a bad stretch of games. Of course, obviously, with the stuff with DeJounte Murray, that might end up being a benefit for this team. So, because the last three games that the Raptors have been playing, you played some really top quality opponents in Detroit and Phoenix, and now you beat down the Bulls tonight, guys, in a fantastic team effort tonight. You had all the starters in double figures tonight. Four starters had double figures at halftime, guys. You had RJ, who had 14, Quickly had 10, BI had 13, Scotty had 13. Yak was the only starter who didn't have double digits in points at halftime, guys, only having 9 points. But you had guys like Jacoby Walter, who had 8, Mamu only had 3, Jamal had nothing, and Jamison Battle had 3, guys. So you got some great production from your bench in the first half. The Raptors were shooting the ball fantastically in the first half, guys. Shooting 60% from the field, guys. Then you had 8 for 16 from three-point line, 50%. You had 91% free throws, 10 of 11, guys. 28 rebounds compared to Chicago's 18. 4 offensive rebounds, 16 assists compared to the 10. 16 assists on 27 made field goal, guys, in the first half. That is fantastic, to say the least. Then you had 32 points in the paint compared to Chicago's 18. 13 second chance points compared to Chicago's 7. 8 fast break points, guys, compared to Chicago's 7 as well. And 20 points off turnovers, guys. So Chicago had 11 turnovers. Raptors get 20 points off those turnovers, guys. Raptors protected the ball really good in that first half, only turning it over 6 times. But man, oh man, it was a dominating first half, guys. In the first quarter there, the Raptors went up 32-17 after one quarter, 40-28 in the second quarter. It was absolute destruction by halftime, guys. The second half was pretty much a formality, to say the least, guys. Sure, the starters played in the third quarter, continued to do what they did in the first half, continued to move the basketball well, make their shots. The fast break was fantastic. Chicago's defense was putrid at times in this game. The Raptors controlled this game. They did whatever they want, the Raptors. Anytime the Raptors had the ball, they'd find a man open, because Chicago double-teamed BI a few times, which would leave a man open. The Raptors spaced the floor beautifully. They would cut on time. Loved what I saw tonight with the ball movement. Just the spacing like I mentioned just now. The Raptors were doing everything perfectly and as a team in this game against the Bulls. Now, I understand the Bulls are not a great team, of course, but like I said, you got to take advantage early, get this lead as big as possible, and then have your starters sitting in the fourth quarter, majority of it, like we saw in tonight's game, guys. And Chicago was missing some guys tonight. You had no Ivy, no Simons, no Okoro, no Esogu, no Collins. So they're missing a lot of guys, the Bulls, and the Raptors did a great job taking advantage of that tonight, guys. Look at the points tonight for the Raptors. Scotty only played 25 minutes and had 18 points. B.I. only played 28, had 18 points tonight. You had Jakob only played 20 minutes tonight, had 17 and 8. Quickly only had 10 points on 25 minutes. Not his best game, of course. RJ had 23 points, guys. So, guys, RJ's got 20 games plus in 9 of his last 11 games. RJ is peaking at the right time. He's looking healthy. Of course, obviously had some really unfortunate injuries this year. Didn't look like himself. But when RJ Barrett is making his shots, driving the lane, picking his shots, his selection, he is a vital piece for the Raptors. Now, I'm not going to go overboard and say like Sam Mitchell did at pregame, saying that the Raptors are better than the Pistons. But, with RJ playing well, Jakob's healthy right now, guys. The Raptors are peaking at the right moment. This is absolutely massive. And then 53 points off the bench. A season high tonight, guys. That was great to see as well. You had Jacoby, who was fantastic with 18 points on 21 minutes. Mamu had 17 points on 22 minutes. Then you had Grady Dick, who played 10 minutes. He had 7 points. Mobile had 1 point on 6. Temple had 2 in 6 minutes. Trace Jackson-Davis had 2 in 4 minutes, guys. But listen, I understand that the bench played most of the fourth quarter. The starters got to rest and relax in this game tonight. Perfect situation for the Raptors tonight, guys. You beat down an opponent early. Your starters rest. You got to play a very difficult team in the Denver Nuggets next. This was a perfect situation tonight for the Raptors. And like I mentioned, Orlando, Miami losing. So this is just another advantage for the Raptors in this game tonight, guys. Chicago had some guys in double figures. Miller had 13. Buzelis had 19. I think he's a very nice young player. Smith had 10. You had Dillingham with 15. The guy was the 8th overall pick for Minnesota out of Kentucky, for God's sakes. He's a good young talent. Just needs some confidence and, minutes to get his confidence back. So he played well tonight. Dillingham, Sexton had 14. The guy's always a pain in the ass for the Raptors tonight. So I'm glad the Raptors did not let that guy run rampant on them tonight, guys. But listen, what can you say about the Raptors in this game tonight, guys? They did some great things tonight. Mamu was fantastic driving lane. Jacoby made threes. Scotty and B.I. did some really good things offensively. Defensively, though, the Raptors were just fantastic tonight, guys. Chicago didn't really get one-on-one opportunities on fast breaks. Raptors closed down on their threes, boxed out beautifully on second chance opportunities there. So the Raptors played a perfect 48 minutes tonight, guys. The perfect type of matchup you could have asked for in this game tonight before you play a difficult opponent like the Denver Nuggets. So you get some rest, you fly out of town, you go to Denver. That's going to be a mile high above sea level. We obviously know how difficult that is for any team to go and play in Denver. But those guys getting some extra rest, you can't go wrong with that, guys. Raptors finish off the game shooting 57% from the field, 42% from three, 88% from the free throw line, guys. 51 rebounds. 6 offensive rebounds compared to Chicago's 9. 33 assists on 48 made field goals. Great ball movement by the Raptors tonight, guys. Chicago had 13 bloody steals. That was surprising. We didn't protect the ball well at the end of the game there, guys. Raptors the turnovers did get a little bit stupid. They're having 18 turnovers compared to Chicago's 19. 12 turnovers in the second half. That's obviously not great. 60 points in the paint compared to Chicago's 58. Chicago doesn't even have a 7-footer in their lineup, guys. So Jakob Poeltl had a bloody field day today in this game tonight, guys. Jakob's been playing some great ball as of late, and he's healthy right now. He's been a vital piece for the Raptors as of late. He will be down the stretch as well. It wasn't that long ago that a lot of Raptors fans wanted him out the door. Even me, I was a bit frustrated at times with his performances and not being able to stay on the floor, but the way Jakob's playing right now, like I said in the offseason, if you can get another backup center that can alleviate some minutes from him, Jakob Poeltl is obviously a very good young player, a very good player, of course, not young, but very good player, of course, learned young under Craig Popovich, so we all know that Jakob is a smart player, learned a lot in San Antonio, and you can see that he's obviously learned a lot of things when he came back to Toronto, of course, and he's obviously getting better as the season progresses now that he's obviously healthy, to say the least, guys. But 26 points off turnovers for the Raptors. Chicago had 21 fast break points compared to our 14, so Chicago's a little bit better than that in the second half. And then both of us had 16 second half points, guys. But it was complete destruction, guys, in that first half. Basically won the game for the Raptors. The second half was a little bit tighter because the Raptors knew that they had done enough damage in the first half to finish off this game, And listen, like I said, you're on a 5-game road trip. Now, last time Raptors on a 5-game road trip, they were 4-1. This is going to be obviously a little bit more of a tougher road trip. You got some more tougher opponents, obviously, with Denver in a couple days' time, of course. But listen, 20 wins for the Raptors on the road this season. The last 2 seasons, they only had 23 wins combined on the road. This team has made some great strides, guys. Obviously, there's been some blimps this year with this team. Obviously, some question marks with their record against top 10 NBA opponents, guys. Obviously, there's been some question marks on how they play defense and how they let up physically. And other teams get more physical with them and they just cower down at times. Well, listen, this 3-game winning streak has been great for them. You got a real test coming up against the Nuggets. You got Jokic, of course, and that's going to be a big test for Jakob Poeltl as well. If the Raptors can find a way to win in bloody Denver, the Raptors are trending in a very, very good direction, guys, right before the playoffs. The perfect time to start peaking right before the playoff push, guys. Let's see how they do in Denver, guys. Great win tonight for the Raptors, guys. Perfect performance from the Raptors, guys. Everybody contributed in this game tonight, offensively, defensively. It was a fantastic performance, to say the least, by the Toronto Raptors, guys. Love your guys' thoughts and opinions on this game tonight, guys. Like this video, subscribe if you guys want to see more content. Go Raptors, go as always, guys. See you guys on the next episode of Raptors Unfiltered. Ciao, guys.